All right, welcome everyone. We have got another special guest, another podcast, number 96. My man Luigi is joining us, the co-founder and CEO of CheckDecide. Luigi, how are you?
Hi Jeff, thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I'm fine and I'm excited. Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm also excited. I know I was speaking with you last year about this project, and then followed up early this year and got involved. I actually, I invested. I believe in the product. I think it's great. I loved the look and feel of CheckDecide, which we will dive into. We're going to go and talk about that. I want to show people how it works. I see All in Pav, Matt Staples, Charlie Carell, a ton of guys, respected people in the community that have been using it. A lot of others as well. That are seeing the power of it and how it can really visually help. Because I think one of the things about poker is it's not that fun to study. People aren't lazy. I would say, like, people want to work, they don't really know how. And PO Solver and these things are they're not as fun. Like, this is really aesthetically pleasing. It's a nice way to review. So we'll cover that. We'll go through that in a bit. And again, congrats on the launch and success of CheckDecide. But I want to first talk about you and your career and your poker journey. So if you would give us a little history on yourself, how long you've been in poker, and let's start there. So give me your background and how you got into poker.
Yeah, I have a career as a player of 14, 15 years, and I've been a poker coach for more than 10 years for sure. And I started in somewhere 2005, and actually I could not have imagined myself being any kind of gambler. So my parents always tried to keep me away from things like this. And but I played a few sessions with my friends, live, 5-card draw probably, and then I read an article about poker. And it really fascinated me, like how deep the strategy is behind poker. So I decided, after having played 50 hands or 100 hands, I decided that I want to give this a serious shot. So I guess it sounds strange, but in the next 3 months, I haven't played a single hand. I just started. I ordered all the books available, Harrington on Poker, Super System, and even the Theory of Poker from David Skonsky.
That's the one I've read. That's literally the only book I ever read. I just got that one. That was the one I liked and looked at early and used that for my basis. But yeah, that was one. Yeah.
Yeah, my personal favorite was the Harrington trilogy. That was amazing at the time, and I would say probably it's still valuable for a complete beginner. It's a wonderful book. And I remember I spent weeks reading that book over and over again, making notes, making questions, answering my own questions, thinking about the game. And by the time I felt ready to play, I actually had a huge edge on the field, just by theoretically practicing poker. And looking back, it was more of a fear of failure, because obviously poker was completely new at that time, not accepted by society, not even as much as it is now. So yeah, I really wanted to succeed, and that's why I prepared so much before actually starting to play. But yeah, it started really good. I had winning amounts one after another, and I very soon found myself on the final table of a Sunday Million, and backed 133K or something like that in a 3-way deal. So that was sweet for sure. And then I kept learning a lot, and I found some poker friends I managed to discuss strategy with, and then in 2009 I traveled to Costa Rica for a Latin American poker tour event, and I managed to win that one, which was kind of a joke, because the final table of that was extremely tough. You can see some really good players like Max Steinberg, Steven Silverman, and Alec Torelli and Ashton Griffin, Joey Banks. Like these guys were like 100 times better than me. But yeah, luck plays a lot of like a big role in tournaments, and I definitely got lucky many times in the final table, and then after like a few years later in 2010, I won a bracelet in a 10K pot limit hold'em event in Vegas, which was sweet for sure, like one of the best memories of my life. And yeah, that final table was again like ridiculously strong, with Tom Marchese on the final table, Sam Stein, like ADZ also, and
Danny Stern, yeah,
yeah, yeah, and actually that tournament like was not much of a performance. I just ran good, like not in a ridiculous way, like in Costa Rica, where I like feel like very visibly got lucky in many times. But in like I was on the right side of coolers. I won the flips. You know what it takes to win a tournament. So yeah, but in that year, I definitely felt I have a quite big edge on the field, not on that particular final table, but in general over the tournament field. And I also won a major title in the Italian poker tour for like 300K, which is quite ridiculous that I won the 3 biggest final tables I ever entered. So that's definitely another big, that definitely a huge part of luck. And yeah, after that, like this was like $1 million a year in 2010. And since I started playing poker, everyone told me, like outsiders of poker, that hey, you should invest your winnings. You should, like, poker is risky. Like stand on more legs than just poker. And I listened to this advice, and I started making some very silly investment just to have my money invested and not just to live off poker. And this was a huge mistake of mine. So unfortunately, I'm not as clever as the guys like, Fedor or Timex, who you listen to and you have a feeling that these guys just never make any major mistake. I actually did. Like I made a lot of mistakes. And hopefully, like those who listen can learn a lot from this focus. So yeah. After like a few months after 2010, which was $1 million a year, I found myself broke, like completely broke. Like I invested in businesses where guys like I didn't pay enough attention to the businesses I invested to. I just trusted some guys, and they either made bad business decisions or they like straight away stole my money. But yeah, that was a big lesson to me. And like my last hope was Full Tilt, that I still have 100,000 on Full Tilt. And
you did? You mean?
No. Like I did at the time, and then they announced that it's locked down, and it's probably lost forever. But yeah, luckily it turned out that like PokerStars bought Full Tilt, and I got that money back. But since that, like I had to learn the other side of poker. Like there is huge variance in poker. Like sometimes you play like mediocre and you have huge results. Sometimes you give your really best and you just can't score any big. And this was happened to me like in the next 6, 7, 8 years, that I grinded up myself, like starting really from the bottom. I was in one stable after another, and really grinded like hard. Like I spent like 10 hours a day grinding, and another 4, 5, 6 hours a day improving my game, running simulations, practicing with HRC, with BioSolver, whatever was necessary to get better. And yeah, like I managed to build myself up to be one of the steadiest mid-stakes grinders. Like I have a fairly steady graph, like basically swingless, but mentally it took a real hit on me, like what happened, obviously, and that's why I learned a lot about and I'm still fascinated by the how our brain works and how our fears can control our decisions and all that stuff. This is a topic I could spend days talking about, or brain, mental game, and all this stuff. Yeah. So yeah. When around 2017, I got promoted to BitB staking. You know, the staking group of Patrick Leonard, European Elmerix, and then there I had a really good year. Basically didn't have a losing session for 6, 7, 8 months, and that's where I realized that the way we teach and learn poker is just not efficient at all. Like, I had the chance to have private sessions with Elmerix, who is probably one of the best tournament players of these days, and I really prepared for those sessions. And still, usually we ended up talking about a few hands where we basically agreed on the play. It turned out that we have nothing to discuss about that hand, and we wasted that valuable time with some of the greatest players. And that's why I wanted to reform how we teach and learn poker, and wanted to create a tool which filters out the hands where we disagree, where we have something to discuss. And then I started to think about it, and that's how CheckDecide was born. To create a tool which enables players to compare their decisions and to highlight the spots where they actually disagree. And this could save a lot of time for players. This could give a very practical approach to teaching and learning poker. And later, it turned out that this type of service or this type of tool is really attractive for newcomers as well. Many of the newcomers are just not ready to dig into forums and this deep discussion with a lot of jargons, etc. They are not attracted by that. They just want to practice poker. They just want to see what their poker idols do in a certain situation, and that's why I wanted to create a tool where you can upload a full tournament of yours with all the minor details. You know, the main skill of poker is not about playing big river decisions, outplaying your opponents on the river. Yeah, that's part of the strategy and part of your win rate to make clever decisions on the river. But the most important decisions are pre-flop adjustments, blind versus blind, or how to play your short stack from the button or from the cutoff, adjusting your riskier ranges, or very simple basic things which happen dozens of times every session. Because if you fix a leak which happens to you 100 times a day, and it's $1 mistake you can fix, that's $3,000 per month or something like that. And if you fix a $1,000 mistake which happens to you twice in a year, that's nowhere compared to the small mistake.
The fascinating part about it is, I think that what I find, like what I love about poker and content and Twitch in particular is there's a visual, like the sort of like we're talking about is to talk about poker and show it. It's a bit boring. Like I remember back in, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, what you would like copy paste the hand history, you send it to someone and like you look at it and it's this text. It's kind of like, okay, but it just gets a little tedious. Like on Twitch, what I actually like is I love sending a hand, like a clip, and then like talk about it. Cause like you get to see, the cards, it's like in a table setting, there's actual commentary. You can kind of see the thing, but this is actually even just more in my way, in my opinion, and what got me to want to invest and be involved I was like, wow, this actually looks like fun. This is also a way where I can see what the player would do. I can say what I would do every street, which we'll go and show a couple examples. And then also, in other ways, you could have a great player evaluate. You could do what the actual player did. You can do what you think you should do. And then you could even have someone else kind of do it and kind of compare and contrast and be like, oh, wow, like in this spot where I wasn't sure, this is what the streamer did or the player. This is what, the world-class player did. And then here's what I did. And I love it. I mean, I think it's brilliant. I want to talk more about it. And I just want to know a little bit about how you actually, to get to where it is today, how did it start? Because you said you just had an idea, you wanted to do it. Like, how did you get, let's take a look right here. Like, this is just, we'll scroll through some things, but let's just see just a quick example so people can kind of see. I actually remember Pav got, can you explain a little bit? So if you go here and you click on this is the entire hands of the tournament. So this means someone, in this particular instance, I just clicked on the top one and it happens to be all in Pav, who got 9th place in a tournament, shows you what place for how much, tells you the tournament name. This is how many hands he played to get to that point.
Yeah. Those we offer three filters, three filter options. The first one is if you want to play all the tournaments with all the boring folds, like you have 7 deuce under the gun. You are obviously not interested in that, but whatever, there is an option to play that way. But usually you should go with the intermediate filters because we designed that one to leave in all the potentially interesting hands, but filter out all the boring folds. And the intermediate filters leave in all the small blind and big blind hands, all the hands where the hero put money into the pot, and also all the hands where hero didn't put money into the pot, but he had at least a medium strength hand, so he made a major fold pre-flop, which could be interesting. And the last option is if the owner of the content marked a few hands with the key icon, like the most important hands of the tournament, then you can use that filter and only see those 6 hands which only Pat marked.
Is this so the intermediate filters? Who is actually deciding that? Then is this
that's an algorithm.
That's automated.
Yep.
Okay, so that just based on you plug it in. If you have an ace 10 offsuit, that would count or something, or some hand that's like playable, but maybe you didn't play it, but you could look at it.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Okay, so is this a good one to show, or do you think we should go into the original?
No. That's fine. So this is the first hand which Pav marked as a key hand. So if you go by that, you can see that there is an option to open. Like you can make your own decision. Like
it shows the big blinds. That's right. So this is actually the big blinds. That's color coordinated as well.
Yeah. Just to be able to overview the whole table quicker. And you probably want to open that one, and you can see that like the smiley that it matched the decision of Pav. And then on the flop, it's right away a kind of a tricky situation. Like you probably know that the small blind hits this texture quite hard, like all the broadways, and you probably don't want to see bet too much on this texture. Actually, there is an option to check this one, maybe, like if you want to play a cautious strategy, because here you have to get into a lot of like marginal stack offs if you bet this. If you bet this, you probably cannot fold with this many potential draws out there. But there could be a player, like if it's a huge nit on the small blind, you may just want to check it. But generally, you want to bet this. And
yeah, I mean, I guess you could argue generally you'd want to go quarter or small, but the board is so wet, maybe you could size up. But let's just say you bet that third, and now you get check raised all in. So again, to the point, if you're gonna bet, this is one of those ones too. I think it's so important, and this is like a hand example, which is interesting to talk about. But you need to have a plan. It's like, all right, I'm betting this, and I will call off if this happens. Like, you have to know this is a chance this is happening, and I think you're just too high up in the range. Obviously, whatever. So this is what's cool, because you get to kind of see, and then other players can actually make notes. You can make notes. You can see what the streamer said. You know, let's say we get it in, and there it is. He does have the combo draw and hold, but so that's cool. And there's actually, you can go right to a flop on a hand, is that right? Like, you can go to a turn river, because this is
no, those are just for the comments. So if you click on the flop, okay, you can see like someone asked the question. Okay. I will probably have to answer this. Okay. and then the same with pre-flop, so you can make comments street by street, and this is how it goes. And if you go to the top right corner of this the replayer, you can see a red label, like 2 pair 6, and if you click on that, this is what we call the multi-bar. So you can see how many players reviewed each hand. So you can see that the first hand was reviewed by 193 players, and the average match percentage was 87%. And if you click on whatever, you can see like which hands have commentary, and also you can see like which hands were big losing hands or big winning hands. The arrows, the green and red arrows, help you identify the hands. And you can even, if you open the multi-bar again, could you?
Yeah. Hold on, it's my least favorite hand in poker. I just got my attention here. So what he raised, and I guess okay, interesting. Okay, so yeah, it's so this is so will it tell it give does the emoji it's like yes or no, but is there like a scale of how close, like if you min raise versus 2.2, or is it just like right or wrong, right?
We take sizing into consideration. So if you really mismatch the sizing, then even if your step was correct, you don't get too many points. And so you can see that you completed the last hand of the package, and your overall match percentage so far was 81%. And you can
so on this particular hand though, if you fold and the guy and Pat folded, obviously you wouldn't see what happened, because then the guy doesn't show.
That's not part of the hand history. So right. So we don't know the like absolute correct answer, and also we don't try to like imitate GTO or anything. But as you probably are familiar with MTTs, like applying pure GTO to MTTs, even especially with ICM involved and with very weak players involved, etc., different stack sizes, whatever, you just cannot apply pure GTO to tournaments. And also you have to take your skill level, your edge into consideration, because if you take every spot with a low win rate, if you take every spot where you can make half big blind or one NT profit, and you go too hard for those spots, and you risk your stack too often, then you will never ever get to the late stages where you can actually make really profitable decisions. As I'm a big fan of Patrick Leonard, and I've heard that he talked about the same concept, that you basically, when you enter a tournament in the early stages, you basically just wait for for someone to make a huge mistake, because you really don't want to risk your stacks, your whole stack, your tournament life before you get to the late stages, where you can actually make real money-making decisions. Like even with just a fold, a disciplined fold in a final table, you can make a lot of actual dollars, or with a carefully selected resale or open push or whatever. Yeah. You can also go by the forward button if you don't want to go by it. Like if you click on pause, whatever.
Which one? Go to this? Or?
No. Like there. Now you are proceeding in a play mode. Just click on something. But if you click on pause.
Which one? Host?
Pause.
Where is it?
The big red one, whatever. Now it disappeared. Never mind. Yeah, you can also display the hand in. Yeah, that's what I meant. Then you can go by like step by step by clicking on the forward, the double arrow button on the right side of the play button.
Sorry. So if you click this and you hit pause.
Then now you can go step by step by clicking on the forward button. Yeah, that one. Maybe that's more comfortable for you. Yeah. Right. And also you can if you click on the reviews, there is a gold review button on the top left corner of the replayer.
Oh, it's a good spot.
Yeah, actually, this is a tournament which you probably know. Burst 320, Balázs Botond. He's a good friend of mine, and he shared he gave me a tournament run. He finished third in a 1K party PowerFest event, and he bagged 171K, and he shared this tournament run with me to review it. So I clicked it through, and I made comments to like close to 100 hands where I disagreed with his play, and yeah, it really shows you like obviously Balázs stopped being a professional poker player or full-time poker player a few years ago, so his play is a little bit outdated, or he misses a lot of like small value bets.
Right here, you're saying.
Yeah. Burst 3 to.
But so you're saying on the comments or ones you disagree with, like, so these ones with red, that's a comment on the hand.
Yeah. If you open one and you click on the appropriate street, then you can you can see the comments. It's a little bit blurry for me with the current resolution, but you can probably read it.
We should mostly raise here with trips, potentially bluffs, 5-4 hearts, ace-4 hearts, some low flush draws. So okay. So like in this spot, it's always a check. This guy's going to bet. You're saying he probably called, although you think it's better because on this board there are so many, solvers approved check raises, like you said, 4-5 suited, ace-4 suited, some low flush draws, backdoor flush draws, or other flush draws. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. So you're saying, so he clicks call, but your note was probably, I'm assuming he clicked call, and you're saying that you would prefer a check raise, probably.
Yeah. Because with if you never check raise here, then you let him control the size of the pot, and whenever especially in real life, where tournament players, one of their league is not to triple barrel aggressively enough, so they don't bluff enough. So you do much better by developing a check raising range, and as it's quite dry texture, especially with being a flush draw, they only have one backdoor flush draw, not three, like in a rainbow on a rainbow texture. So they should have some automatic folds, so you can profit with your bluffs, and also you can blow the pot when you actually have trips, and you have some trips, like you call with all the suited trades. which is something. And you want to have the option to go for full stacks when you hit tricks against like ace king or aces, or even just king queen, king jack, king like whatever. Let's build a pot. And if you want to use some bluffs as well, then you can select like.
And I guess like, so here's a spot where, you know, this is just in particular, I think this would be interesting because on the river, you know, I think this is so much about hand reading, your own image, all these things, like, whereas a very aggressive, dangerous player can get so much meaty value and have or a guy who's pretty tight, you know, maybe wouldn't get paid off here. But I think, you know, so like in this spot, it's pretty much either you want to go small because you think he's going to maybe hero call and he has to call if he has ace high, maybe because you do have missed spades, but you could go for pot too, right? For the same reason, where it's like, you know, you're polarized, right? You either have basically a 3 or a missed spade draw is like the most likely. So what is it? Would this be? Looks like there's no note on the river, but this would be a spot where it would if your sizing isn't correct, it's going to tell you if it's different, right? You have to either basically get the right one.
Yeah, like it compares your sizing with versus sizing because he was the original player, so it always compares the sizing to the original player. But yeah, I could have made a note on the river because it's a tricky situation. It depends a lot like on what level you are playing, because I think one of the major problems with education of poker is that they try to educate players on like low stakes players on this with the same materials, the same approach as if they would play like super high rollers. This is partially because those who teach poker, they don't really want to give their secrets. Like obviously if they have some really valuable exploitative tool or trick or like read on the population, they probably don't want to share this. They want to create teaching content or learning content without sharing their real secrets, their real plays. They go with the safe way that they explain you what the GTO strategy is, and that's it. This approach cannot be applied in CheckDecide. In CheckDecide, you upload the full hand history of your tournament, and if one wants to share it, visitors will see your actual play, all your exploitative signing, everything you want to include. And talking about this spot, I think in low stakes tournaments, there are some very clear reads you can apply on the population. Obviously, the player's pool is big, so you cannot really have individual reads. You just have to go with the population. And I think population checks behind some king X on the turn for whatever reason they decide to. They control the size of the pot. They are not comfortable with betting 3 streets with king queen or king jack, so they just check it. So this is a reason for betting big. And if you are playing in the lowest stakes where they are not really familiar with the tendency of the population from their point of view, there you can probably overbet this holding, because they will always call you with a king, or maybe even with pocket queens or whatever they would like to. But in mid-stakes tournaments, the average reg is much more aware of the tendencies of the population. So there, I think if you try with an overbet, they too often find a fault. They tend not to hero call against overbets in busted flush draw situations on the river. This is a clear read of mine on the mid-stakes population. This was different like 5 years ago or 10 years ago. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, everyone was happy to catch in any busted flush draw situation on the river. But nowadays they learn that probably bluffing is not good. Like with busted flush draws, it's always like questionable to bluff because you block the easiest folds of the opponent. So they don't bluff too much on the river with busted flush draws. Therefore, they learn not to catch too much in busted flush draw situations. So if you go with a huge bet, I'm afraid you lose your customer too much. And population bluffs a lot here with like 2/3 sizing or 55% of the pot. So I think exploitatively, the best sizing here is to bet like mid-size what population actually bluffs here if they have some kind of bluff candidates. But and if you go to like really high stakes, then you just have to construct a good balanced strategy, maybe slightly exploitatively, and then you want to actually overbet again, because there you will overbet some of your lowest busted flush draws and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my take on this figure.
So can we? But so I think I clicked the third and I did the over, and both were right. It was basically saying he's betting, or does it tell you the size that he bet?
Yeah, it says that your sizing is red because it differed a lot from the sizing Burst decided to make. So you bet 400-ish, but if you bet big, then it says that, yeah, this is the sizing Birch decided to do.
So even big here, it says green because it's closer.
Yeah.
But, okay, so it's not. It doesn't tell you exactly. It won't show exactly what he did.
Yeah. It does. Just click on the forward. Yeah.
Oh, 13-6 it shows. Okay, here after. Yeah, so basically pot. Interesting. Okay. Well, yeah, no, I mean, it is really cool. And I guess like there is a nostalgia section, and then there's like kind of looking like a Galfund challenge, for example. I guess, I don't know, this Overs Veneviti, that very famous pot. But so there is that you can click on some and actually see some of the hands that took place, right? Because those cards were face up. So you actually can kind of match up here, same kind of concept, correct?
Yeah, they shared some hand histories in their Twitter. They posted a link where you can download the hand histories of the biggest pots. But unfortunately, their hand history format doesn't contain the marked hands, so it's not like super useful. But yeah, you can replay some of the biggest hands.
Cool.
In Galfund's shoes. Yeah.
Very cool. And there's an upload hand, so you can upload your hands. You can mess with your profile. You can add friends. What other features? Anything else on here that's new? Or how would someone, like, who would you, people that watch this and say, okay, there's either maybe a streamer or someone that would want to upload hands. How do you break down the categories of people that could use CheckDecide? Someone that's going to post hands. Could there's now a feature to monetize. There's also people that would want to learn. You know, how would you explain that out there to the different people that what are the different things you could do with CheckDecide?
Well, this is going to be long, but yeah, the cool thing about this project is that it can really integrate all kinds of services, like from affiliates to streamers to beginners to pros to small study groups, and even like big poker schools. I would like to get to the platform sooner or later, like Upswing or Raise Your Edge or Run It Once. I believe sooner or later they will join the platform and they will start creating their own content. The main monetization of CheckDecide will be a marketplace function. So you will be able to upload, you are already able to upload your content, but you will be able to put a price tag on it. And those who pay that price to you will be able to access that content and test their skills on your interactive learning content. So this is basically the idea of CheckDecide. And if you are a poker coach, then you can upload your most interesting hands or your tournament runs, and you can share it with your students. We may have not shown yet, but if you go to your profile, please. And and you open a hand of yours, like that pocket aces hands or whatever, then you can set the privacy of your content. If you go to the top right corner, there is an eye button, eye icon. There it is. And then you can set like who can access that content. If you set it private, then no one can access. If you set it friends, then your CheckDecide friends can access and no one else. And if it's public, then obviously anyone who has the link or visits your profile can access this content. And yeah, you can also create friendships. You can follow other players. Like if you go to Andrei Coimsra's profile, then you can probably follow him, or Rafa Vitoy. You can follow him, and then their content will be listed in. You click on the orange follow button or whatever. You can just send a friend request. If you send a friend request, that means that you want to follow that user as well. So if you go back to home, go back to home place, and you click on the followed button, the follow tab, there it is. Then you can see that all the guys who you follow or you are friends with, their content is listed in one place, and you can review those hands. You can discuss those hands, whatever. So this can work for a small study group. If you are mid-stakes players and you have 3 friends you like to discuss hands with, then with CheckDecide, you can very quickly identify the hands where you actually disagree, and you can focus your discussion on those hands only. So it saves you a ton of time. You can review more than 100 hands per hour with this. Like, as you don't have to type any, you don't have to go into discussion unless you deviated from the original player. This can save you a lot of time. So small study groups can create this followed connection, and they can go through hands this way. Or if you are a streamer, then you can share your biggest bluff of the day, or you can share your biggest scores for your audience, and they will probably enjoy going through your big victory and testing their skills. Like and also if you are an affiliate, then you have to know that you can open any content. Like if you are an affiliate, you can go to Jeff's profile and open a tournament run of Jeff and create a link to Jeff's whatever PLO score, and then that link works for you only. So later on, those who land on that link and register to CheckDecide, those guys will be booked as your affiliate, not as Jeff's affiliate. If Jeff creates content to that same content, then that link will work for Jeff. So this is basically the affiliate system. And when the marketplace will be functional, then you will get your share after the spending of your affiliates.
Very cool. That's yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I mean, this is, again, CheckDecide. Again, we wanted to spend some time. I wanted to just kind of show, I think what got me so excited originally was the replayer, was just how it looked, how visually pleasing it was, how simple it was, and more so looking at some other great players. It is a fun way to review, watching people that you like play and going through a big run. And how does someone win a tournament? How does someone win a $22 1,000-person tournament? How does someone win a 5,200 200-person? What are these guys doing? How are they playing in spots? And also getting the feedback and the notes from players and like yourself or others that go through. And there's a lot of spots where I'm not comfortable on exactly, or a bet sizing, or a leak, or you should have jammed this hand, or why didn't you do this? Or even looking at that end bit of a tournament, when you get like outer money bubble, are you being too tight? Is it you could just go and zoom forward and look, all right, well, there's 26 left, 16 cash. How are you playing here? You're passing up clear jam spots. And then why are you, my game in particular, I'll look and I'll be like, all right, a lot of time I get deep, and then sort of like around that bubble area, I end up very short. And then it's like, all right, you make the money and you got 12 or 8 or 10 blinds, 6 blinds, you make the money, but now you're at a huge disadvantage to actually win. And kind of looking at that. So like these kind of areas of a game are very valuable to be able to take an honest look at it, get feedback, send quickly, and have someone comment on. So I think, I think it's an incredible tool. I'm excited to see how it's going to go. It looks like it's getting a lot of excitement in the community and growing fast. And it's great to see, and I show Pav, show Matt, Staples, these kind of guys, and they just want to invest. They want to be involved. They want to use it. They're uploading it. They like it. It's good. It's a good sign. And for me, I think we could all agree everyone could study more. We could all do more work. And this is a way I think that's fun and sort of feels less intense, less scary to study and do solvers and whatnot. It's almost like a visual solver amongst peers. So very cool. Anything else you want to say on that before we kind of dive some more into some questions, as well as talk about your career a bit more? Anything you want to add?
Not like you were right that on the main point that our mission is to make learning poker really enjoyable, because I think the biggest problem of the poker community is that we raised a really unnecessary barrier to the newcomers. So let's say they land on your Twitch and they say that, okay, poker looks interesting. Maybe I would like to like get involved with poker. And what's the next step then? Next step, should they buy $1,000 video package from someone? That's probably not viable, really, for most of the newcomers. Or should they go to like 2+2 forums, and should they dig into all the jargon? Possible, but probably not really attractive for newcomers. So I wanted to create a tool which, first of all, it is time efficient for the professionals. So if you want to create a 1 hour teaching video, then it probably takes a day of your time to create it in high quality. Because obviously, like if you want to create content for Run It Once or Raise Your Edge or one of the biggest sites, then you have to spend at least a day to create one quality video. But if you want to create content to CheckDecide, you will just have to click 2 buttons and your tournament is up there, available for anyone in the interactive format. So this was my first goal, to make it time efficient for the pros. So the content itself can be much cheaper than the currently available learning material. Those are still valuable, don't get me wrong. Like if you are already a very serious player who wants to move from mid stakes to high stakes, then that's probably the content you need from Raise Your Edge. I'm a big fan of Raise Your Edge, don't get me wrong. I also appreciate the work Polk does with Upswing. I really, my main goal is sooner or later to integrate them to CheckDecide and get them to create content on CheckDecide as well. But I still believe that for newcomers, probably most of the newcomers are not interested in game theory, in that type of approach. So our goal is to create very cheap, easy to digest content for newcomers. And if they fall in love with the game, then they can still go to Bluff the Spot, go to Raise Your Edge, wherever they want to. Especially if those schools join CheckDecide as well. Because one of the cool features, which is coming probably in like 4 or 5 months, is that you as a content creator, you will be able to integrate or insert a short video into the hand. So let's say here is this King 10 offsuit hand, and you see that most of the players, let's say, 3-bet here, which is not realistic, but whatever. So they make a mistake here, and then you will be able to create a short video, like 20-second video explaining why 3-betting is not good, and that video would only pop up for those who make a 3-bet here. and by creating this type of hybrid content, how we call it, we will be able to give a very unique user experience for users, like not just watching the 1 hour video, but making decisions and short videos popping up if you made a mistake. So yeah, we really want to focus on the beginners first, but we also save a lot of time for serious players as well. So I really don't see any real competitors. I just see potential partners.
Right. It's very interesting. I mean, it's very, very interesting. And what is to you the most exciting part about what hasn't been showcased here or that is being worked on? If there's anything you talk about, is there any, what can people expect from CheckDecide moving forward, and what's the ultimate goal?
The one feature I would like to see the most is the one I described, that short videos inserted into the hands and only popping up when you make a misstep. That's going to be nuts for sure. But also another feature is coming soon to make voice commentary to your hands street by street, so that way you can save some more time compared to typing, probably recording a short voice commentary and dropping it to your hand to the flop street or turn street. That's going to be fun as well, and once again a new user experience. So yeah, these are the 2 features I'm most excited about.
And let me ask you about your experience. So you were crushing. I mean, I saw your graph, which I don't know if I can show here or not. Let me see. Can I show your graph?
Yeah, sure. You can show whatever. In my blog, you can probably find it.
Well, yeah. Let me see. Yeah, in your blog. Yeah, I think you sent me. Yeah, I have it in my email, but I don't have my blog. But so while you send me something, I can click on maybe on WhatsApp. I pull something up there. But my question is, you're crushing. You're absolutely graph straight up. You're obviously a great poker player. What to you decide to dive into this business? It sounds like your investments, you were kind of sprinkling money around, maybe not really doing due diligence. You were kind of the thought like, oh, let me just put some money here. It's tucked away, but going to people. And then was it just like, I want to do my own thing that I control, I create, or why not just keep playing poker if you're just doing so well?
Well, yeah, that's a question I get a lot. And yeah, if you open the blog post I just sent you in WhatsApp, then you can see that, like, yeah, really the last half a year with BitB was like really, like I crushed. The only period where I lost was during the scoop, where I always lose. But other than that, yeah, it was really a very successful period. And yeah, everyone thought that I was crazy to give up my career at that point. And looking back, like, had I known what it takes to get CheckDecide to this level, I probably would not have been brave enough to start. But luckily, I was a little bit naive, like how much time it would take to complete this project. Originally, the original estimations was to get to this stage where we are at now in like 6 months, the worst case. This was like 2.5 years ago, so you can see the difference, and obviously it was really challenging, like at times, because as I mentioned, like I was broke in 2010. With hard work, I managed to build up my bankroll. Finally, I was ready to maybe play again on my own, go to live events, etc. But instead of this, I said that this CheckDecide idea is just so good, and really poker seems to be going this direction, like creating content, sharing with wider audience. And I really felt that this is a major problem. This is probably the biggest problem of poker, that we cannot engage the newcomers. We give them too dry learning material with too much jargon, too much theory, and not visual enough, not engaging enough. And yeah, I kind of felt that this was my mission to create this, and also believe that this is going to be on very long run. This is going to be a good business as well. Obviously, it will take years of hard work, even from this point to get there, to be comparable to being a professional poker player. But I really believe in it, and hopefully the fun part is coming now, and we are through the darkest days. But it was really challenging. Like I had savings for like 6-7 months in advance. So after that point, I found myself there, like, hey, this project is nowhere to be complete, and I still have to do something. So I started grinding very low stakes just to keep the variance low and to like feed the family. And it worked for a while, and then I got into a downswing. So and also like after working like 10 or 12 hours a day on CheckDecide, then jumping into a session and playing my best was not easy. And
you're 37, and you have you're married with kids, or?
Yeah, I have two wonderful kids, a boy and a girl, and yeah, that was challenging as well. I still work like 10 hours a day on average on CheckDecide, and another 6 hours a day doing coaching to actually provide for the family. So it is a tough period, but on the other hand, I'm really grateful for this, because not a lot of people get this kind of challenge into their life, that they have the chance to create something really valuable and really new and probably useful for a full community, and maybe like creating a sub industry as well, like this kind of teaching and learning, this interactive stuff can even go beyond poker, and in some other format. So don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining at all. I'm absolutely grateful for this experience, but it was tough some days.
And how do you like coaching compared to playing or studying? How do you rank them in order of enjoyability?
I love coaching.
How much do you charge for coaching, just so I have an idea? And do you do groups or one-on-ones or both?
Well, as I haven't played real poker for like close to 2 years now, because I was involved with CheckDecide, I charge really low. Like I don't want to get rich by coaching. I just want to support myself and my family by the time we get there with CheckDecide. So I just charge for like $50 per hour, something like that, like really low. But I enjoy it, and I have a wide range of students, from high stakes cash game players who would like to make the transition to tournaments, and I find myself really valuable for them, because obviously I have a lot of experience. They are definitely better than me in like turn decisions and river decision, deep stack poker, whatever, but they struggle a lot by the tendencies of the population and other tournament specific situations like ICM, how should they approach final tables, final two tables, bubbles, and yeah. And on the other hand, I have complete beginners. I have a 60-year-old woman who started playing. 60-year-old woman who started playing poker, and then she faced she got lucky on PokerStars, and someone typed her that Joker stars, and she got so offended by this one sentence, one comment, that she stopped playing poker for 6 years.
Wow, that's crazy.
And then she found my offer, and she started coming to me for private coaching, and yeah, now she's quite comfortable with her game.
Who do you think you could benefit the most? And what's the best way? Like, is the easiest way to coach someone? And sort of to your point of doing this project with CheckDecide, is that the easiest? If you had someone upload, let's say they're playing $500 buy-in tournaments, and they just, they're playing their average or they're losing slightly, and just let's take that example, or versus like a 215 or a 109. Like, what is that? Is literally them uploading a hand history of a tournament that they went deep in or that they played? Is that like the best way for you to evaluate their game? And you can look at it and be like, well, look, this is a clear, you look at the hand and you're like, why did you do that? Or this you should do. Because to me, that seems like the best way to be able to study is to look at someone's game and just sort of be like, all right, well, this is definitely what you should, this is not right. And why? Is that for you how you study generally? Or like, what is your way of studying with people?
Yeah, like this is another benefit of coaching, that I can get a lot of feedback on CheckDecide, because normally coaching goes on CheckDecide. They play a tournament, they upload it to CheckDecide, they send me the link, and I review those hands very quickly, like 150 hands per hour, and then we can see where I deviated, and we can focus the discussion on those hands where we disagree. And normally, most of the time, I am right and they are wrong, and they are grateful for spotting all these small mistakes they tend to make. Because like other than CheckDecide, what coaching would look like, that they bring me river decisions and big pots they were involved in, and they would never ever bring me a missed 3-bet or any small mistake they make regularly. And this is what I already talked about, that a small mistake which you make 10 times a day or 100 times a day is more has a much bigger impact than a big mistake they would normally like to discuss.
Well, I have an idea, and I think we've talked a bit about it, but I think it could be actually really good to do. Is I would love to make a YouTube video or two, some tournaments, or review some of my tournaments on Party Poker, and sort of go through. We could actually maybe show people how to use CheckDecide, but also do a review in one. So that could be fun. Even like last week, the 50-200 big game final table, but I was very short down the stretch, got 8th, and even just super interesting hands. But that could be fun to
sure.
We could do some of that. I think that we have talked about it. It's almost like a forced way of studying. If you upload the hand history, it's there, and then you go through it. It's it's sort of fun to review that way versus just pulling up a random hand or having to reconstruct it or just copy paste hand history. So I'd be open to do that. Maybe we could do a weekly a review or something. I don't know, maybe or whatever. How we could figure something out.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in for that. And the fun thing is that even if you don't have a study partner or a coach, you can still review your own hand histories. And what I found, that if I review my own hand histories, then my match percentage is somewhere around like 85% or 90%, which clearly shows you the spots where you tend to make sloppy decisions in game. When you when you are not 100% focused on that one table, but you do Twitch, you play like 15 tables or whatever. Yeah. Then there are situations where your game is not strong enough. There are. Have you read the fantastic book of The Mental Game of Poker?
No.
Oh, you should definitely like that's the absolute #1 book every poker player should read.
Who's that by?
I forgot the name, but if you type in The Mental Game of Poker,
by Jared Tendler.
Yeah, Jared Tendler.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to. I do know that name well, actually. He was interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. Wow, it's long. It's a 5-hour, 45-minute video on Audible. But interesting. Okay, so yeah, I'm familiar with it. I haven't read it though. No.
Yeah. If you read it, then you can learn that there are 4 stages for learning anything new. The first stage is when it's called unconscious incompetence, when you are not even conscious that you have a leak. And the next one is conscious incompetence. When you like see someone riding a bicycle, and you know that you are not able to ride a bicycle, and then that's conscious incompetence. And the next one is conscious competence. When you are really focused on doing that one thing, like riding a bicycle or driving a car, when you really pay attention to shifting gears, stopping and restarting, whatever, then you can do it. But if you don't pay attention, then you may lose control. And the final stage of learning anything is unconscious competence. When you get into your car, you think about all this stuff, and you just finally find yourself at home, and you don't even know how you got there. This is unconscious competence. And in a very competitive game like poker, there are a lot of situations where you are in some of the middling stages, like either you should do something, but you don't know how to do it. You feel that I should be more aggressive in late stages, but you don't know exactly what spots you should pick. Or you are in the conscious competence stage. So if you are really focused, if you slept well, if you ate well, if your blood pressure is on the correct level, if you are in good mood with your partner, whatever. So if everything clicks, then you can do it. But if you are tired, if you are disfocused, then you fail. And then this is a very useful concept to understand what affects your decisions and how you should approach learning.
Very cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a huge believer in that. And obviously the mental side, how important it is, right? Like athletes, the highest level, the great ones, the best in the industry, like at some point there is not just the talent, the skill, the work ethic and the practice. Like there is a mental ability to just know you're going to win, to believe, to positivity, all those things. It's not really one, but it's just sort of like a way of being and executing, right? And it's there's a sort of reason. Some guys are clutch. Some guys, whether it's poker, sports, business, some certain people just sort of have a way of being. And I think that the mental game is so powerful. Like I'm sure you're guilty of it. I know I am. I can't imagine how many tournaments whether I've been either not really even like not tilted per se, but just like not focused, not totally present. Like, you have your kids, they've got a play maybe or something, or you have like a trip your buddies are going on, back in the day, or it's like, all right, I'm going to play today, but there's a party tonight or the next day. It's like, well, you're just not fully there. How many people go, I was talking with this Philippe Mojave yesterday, how many people go to tournament stops for live and they book a flight on like Wednesday, even though the tournament ends on Sunday, and just like, well, if I'm out, I'm out. You don't think that comes into play where it's like last level of the night, you got 22 blinds, maybe you just like rip it in or shove, like, what I'm saying? Like how many times you just not fully eye on the prize, right? Like, and I've done it many times, and part of it is it's calculated too. It's like, oh, well, this is a 109. I got one table left on stream. I'm going to gamble a little bit. Like the other day I had an epic punt. It might even have been, I forget the tournament, but I had like queen jack off 30 blinds. It was deep. I think it was the $150 gauntlet, 50K. I just I had got screwed in a pot. I was a little unlucky. And then I was kind of like, I have something I kind of have to do. I got some things I need to do. And I was just ready to go. Like, I was like, I'm gonna, and sometimes that's how you can win a tournament though too, right? Like I lost queen jack to ace king off, but I would never shove this spot. I shoved 29 blinds. Guy had ace king, I had queen jack, and I was out. But I was sort of ready to go,
Uh-huh. Yeah, like one thing I find very often with my students is that they take mental game as a challenge, like super simplified. They say that, Luigi, I'm not tilting, so I'm good with mental game. I have nothing to do with mental game. I don't tilt. I don't shove. I don't make loose calls. Don't make loose plays. And they think that's okay, but that's absolutely just the very first step of because the real goal is to keep your creative attitude to the game, and that's really challenging. Like let's say you are on the downswing, you haven't had a profitable session in the last three weeks or whatever, which happens in poker, especially in tournament poker, and then you still have to be very open-minded to creative moves, to make questionable situations, to try to implement some new stuffs like I don't know, down betting some specific boards in three-way pots or whatever which you happily do when you are on a hot streak and you are full of confidence, and so this is one thing to keep your creativity. But the other thing is that many players think that someone who is on a hot streak and up mentally probably wins the next tournament because they bluff a lot or they play super aggressively or whatever. But I think one important element which they miss is that those players who are full of confidence, they make a lot of very disciplined folds as well. They don't get trapped by like, oh, theory says I should call, etc. Those kind of mind traps. You probably know that you know with all your feelings, you know the population, you know that you may even know theoretically that they should bluff X, Y, Z there to make this call profitable, and you are 100% sure that guy with like stats of 13 VPIP, 11 pre-flop raise, that guy will never ever make this move, which is necessary to make this call profitable, and you still call, like saying that GTO says it's call, and you call, and this is a sign of low self-confidence as well, like when you don't trust your read and you don't evaluate these kind of like I'm afraid to say feel game or feelings, because it's like often underrated, and many players make fun of it, especially the GTO guys. But actually there are some scientific evidence that there is merit in this. Like they have made special experiments that they put one guy to they put players in a room with 3 decks, and the decks contain cards like you won $5, you lost $5, you won $10, you lost $10, etc. These kind of random cards. And they started with $1,000 bankroll, and their job was to pick cards from the 3 decks they saw in front of them. And one of the deck was rigged in a like a mediocre way, like containing much more losing cards. But the guys didn't know about this, and there were sensors on their skin to detect their level of sweating, and they were also interviewed after every 10 minutes, what they feel, what's the strategy in the game, etc. And what was fascinating is that when they approached the 3rd deck, the rigged deck, they started sweating after like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of picking cards, because their subconscious system already recognized that probably something is wrong with that deck. But it took them like 50 minutes or 60 minutes to get that feeling to the conscious level that probably there is something wrong with that deck. And this I can imagine this happening a lot of times in poker, that you know that something is wrong, something is off with that sizing, something is off with the timing tell, or something, or you may have subconsciously recognized some of the relevant stats, and you know that that probably you should not call this bet, or probably you should make this move, and you still may not be confident enough to go with these kind of rates. And yeah, that's why I think being on the top of your mental game is super, super important. And what else? What I wanted to say?
Yeah, I mean, of course it's huge, especially in a you know, it's like the Rounders quote, so true about you remember the biggest pots you lost, you don't remember, you know, the biggest pots you won, or you weight more towards the ones you lost. Just like in a session where when you feel like you're losing every flip, which can be true in a very short sample, but you know, that's like mental. If you start thinking you're going to lose every flip, it's just, you know, that's not good. And you start maybe pushing stuff, you're forcing stuff, and maybe you're flipping too much. You know, now you start flipping with deuces and threes and fours unnecessarily, or eight, you know, queen jacks when you don't, and like all of a sudden it feels like you're losing all these flips, but really, you know, you're also not playing great. You're pushing the action too much, and you're just not playing your best poker. But yeah, I mean, the mental side, every single person can work on. You know, I think the guys that are the absolute most sound, and you see it live, it's more obvious live, right? Because you don't see a guy behind a computer other than if they're streaming. You know, a lot of the guys like Stephen Chidwick and, you know, certain rocks, right? Just guys that David Peters just give off nothing. You just would never know. And my dad always told me something which I love, which I try to use and I do at the table. It's easier said than done, but it goes like, he says, you know, win as if you expect it and lose as if you like it. You know, so it's like when you lose ace, king, ace, queen, it's not like, you know, fist the table and, you know, move around and you're just like beside it and go to your phone and start texting. You kind of smile to shake it off. And when you win, it's like, yeah, you expect it, you know, like, yeah, I won. Like, yeah, like that's what I do. I'm a professional. It's not a hobby. But, you know, the guy that doesn't get upset, that doesn't, you know, go on a tirade or bang the table, that's the guy you're worried about. The guy that's like, you know, losing his cool and going nuts and making all these expressions and like talking and that's the guy, you know, that's not super stable, that also is going to unravel. You know that he's going to probably loosen up his ranges and all his poker knowledge is out the door. And that guy's easier to beat, you know, than someone like Chidwick who just, like when you see someone take a sick beat in a big pot in a big spot and they don't even bat an eye, like that guy's just, that's tough, right? That's scary to play against. So.
Yeah, part of this comes from the fact that those who learn poker, who are in the middle of the learning curve, they try to get feedback that they are actually good at poker. And whenever they suffer a bad beat, they feel that they just took away the this chance of mine to prove that I'm good at poker. So they are still hungry for that feedback to accomplish that they are someone in poker. But if you are Stephen Chidwick, you already know that you are the end boss of the game, and you know that it happens. It probably happened to you many times earlier, and you know that it is part of the game, and you don't like evaluate yourself based on your results. You just say that I'm not going to be a worse player just because I got a bad beat, and I'm not going to be a better player just because I got lucky on someone or I won a flip or won 2 flips in a row. So that's why they can probably take it like very calm. And yeah, one other thing I often find in originally I found it in myself, and then I realized that it's an issue for almost everyone in poker, especially for my students, is that there is one important fact about your brain which you should know, is that there is a group of neurons called von Economo neurons, which is a special group of neurons in your brain which are responsible for or triggered by any thought you have about yourself. So whenever you find yourself thinking about yourself, like, am I good enough for this final table? Is this my chance to score big, or anything like that? Then you have to know that you activate these neurons, this von Economo neurons, and what you have to know about this, that whenever they are activated, the amygdala, which is the fear center of your brain, that's also activated. So and if your fear center is activated, then your focus is done. You are not able to compete on the same level as when your focus is somewhere outside, like on your opponents. Like if you find yourself thinking about yourself and your chances in a tournament, you should always stop that. You realize that, stop that, and you should start thinking about your opponents and how you will be able to exploit them, what you are going to make against them. Like either like basic spots like I'm going to raise mostly from the cutoff, because that's when the big stack is on the small blind, so he will be not that likely to get into a play, or I'm going to 3-bet this guy because he has the stack which I can pressure the most. He cannot make like 4-bets, etc. Or you identify a stat like this guy has low fold versus probe, which means that he probably checks behind a lot of mediocre hands on the flop, which means that his c-bet range is polar. So I'm going to check raise him a lot, like 1-3 check raises on the flop, just to fold out his air c-bets. And if you have the thoughts in advance before getting into an actual spot, then you will be able to recognize a lot more like opportunities. Like, hey, I already planned to check raise this guy, and this hand is quite okay for check raising, and right. Then you don't just pass on the opportunity, you actually execute. And this is extremely important to drive your focus outside of yourself. Never ever keep thinking about yourself, your chances in the tournament. Just focus on your opponents, and you will perform much better.
For sure. We have a question here about someone asking about a DDoS or something. Do you know who DDoS attacker is? That I don't even know what that means. Or DDoS attack happened at CheckDecide, or is this just a random? Or that doesn't mean anything to you? I don't even know what that means. Do you know who or why the DDoS attack happened to CheckDecide?
No, like a few weeks ago there was a slight DDoS attempt, but hopefully, or thankfully, or system or servers were strong enough, so it didn't cause any major problem. So no, I think the site works fine at this moment.
So I got another question before we go to the Twitter questions, guys. And you can win a $55 Party Poker ticket. We will do those questions. Try to go through as many as we can. Ask them about what's the funniest hands you've seen that come to mind. Hands where players did something unexpected or interesting that made them chuckle. I'm sure I've seen going through a lot of hand histories, replying to stuff. You must see some pretty wild stuff, especially at the lower limits. There just must be some like outer space hands.
Yeah, like one of the good things about winning tournaments that other players, especially some not so good recreational players, want to play with you. And this happened to me when after I won the bracelet, I was invited to a home game in the suburb of Hungary with some real characters. Like there was the Tsar, that was his nickname. He was like extremely rich, like not caring at all about the like 30,000 euro. He generally lost like every game, and this was a very special home game because they had a special house rule that the small blind was equivalent to like $5 or five euros, something like that. But the big blind had the option to put in an unlimited live straddle. So these businessmen had kind of competition between each other to put in the biggest live struggle ever from the big blind. And generally, the big blind was like 200 euro equivalent. So the small blind was €5. The big blind was 200 euro. This was very general, but very often they put in like 1,000 euro blind from the big blind. And just to get a feeling on this game, like once it happened that one of this Tsar guy put in a $1,000 1,000 euro big blind, and under the gun, the other rich guy, lived in, and no one else had a hand to join the party. So it went to the Tsar. He checked pre-flop, and it went check down. And before the Tsar could have shown his hand on the river, the under the gun player just announced that he has 3 high. So he limped in with three deuce offsuit for €1,000 big blind. But in that game, it happened that this Tsar guy had a friend who was not that careless about the money. So they both had around like 25,000 euro around, and the Tsar guy raised to like 500 euro. The other guy raised to 15,000, and the Tsar raised to 3,000, and the other guy shoved for 25,000. And the other guy was a little bit scared of the money, or I don't know, but he turned over his aces and showed the guy that, hey, you are my friend, you don't need to call, that 3,000 euro is enough for me, I have aces, you can fold. And the Tsar said, don't treat me like a child, I'm not folding kings, and he called.
Wow, did he win the aces?
No, aces versus kings, aces held up, and 50,000 euro pot went to the aces.
I had the same exact hand happen versus Rob Young. It's actually probably the reason I'm at Party Poker, funny enough, but I did a YouTube video on it.
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah,
the Kings. Yeah, so that was. But Rob, I was asking to be. I was like, let's run it twice. He only wanted to run it once, and he made quads. So go figure. That was a hurtful one, but it works. All works out. It's all variance, right? That's part of life too. You got to realize poker. Talk about bad beats or running, and it's really a small microcosm of life and everything that you're doing. Hopefully,
absolutely.
Even if you're a professional player, you still have hopefully have your family, you have friends, you have loved ones, or whatever it is. You're doing other things other than 24/7 poker. And first of all, we're born. We could go that route too, right? The odds and all this and that. So it is easy in the moment when you're in the game and you're dialed in and you feel you want to win so badly and you want to do your best and you want to prove yourself and you want to win money. And when you don't, and you get unlucky, or you think you get unlucky, it doesn't feel good. And I think also a big part of, I'll say just poker in general, but CheckDecide can really shed light and give you honest feedback, because ultimately it is variance. It is a poker game. And for myself, even, it's easy if you get short in a tournament, you bust out with 9s to 7s, right? And you're like, oh my goodness, but like, what if you have 7 big blinds? Like, what about all those other spots you didn't shove, or this blind on blinds you folded that you should have limped? So like, and then it would have been different, and then you would have still been in the tournament, or you could have covered, or maybe even you could have got a guy to fold 7s if you had more chips in a spot. Like, so it's just so easy to look at your last hand. I think that's something that even solid professionals will look at sometimes. Like, obviously the best players and the most experienced kind of understand, but it's easy to look at your last hand of a tournament. And if you take a bad beat or something, that's just not where the tournament's won and lost. It's all the other hands along the way. So it's such an easy thing to kind of cop out and say, oh, I lost ace jack to ace 10, blind on blind for 15 blinds. But, that's not really what it's all about. So.
Yeah, and another form of this, which actually one of the few things that can kind of piss me off, is that when someone doesn't realize that he got lucky, I've faced many times the comment that I won the tournament, but I didn't get lucky. And come on, man, like you were the one player out of like 2,000 players who won the tournament, and you say that you didn't get lucky. Yeah, obviously, like maybe you never got lucky in a visual format, like a very visible format of like cracking aces with 6s or whatever. But you definitely won like 20 flips probably, and you coolered at least 20 other players with aces or kings, and you have to like poker is great because it teaches you much more than like life could teach you in like 30 years or 50 years. Like I'm really fascinated by poker in this way.
Yeah, I think, I mean, at some point too, you have a lot of, like, we've all been through it. We've all bricked 10 tournaments in a row. We've cashed, had big streaks. We've had good wins. We've had big losses. And we've had a lot of life experience. No doubt. You can tell a lot about someone. I do want to get to the questions because there's a lot. The one thing I want to ask you though about CheckDecide, what was, as a business, you said you probably wouldn't have done it, knowing what you do now. If you could have just started and seeing if you could go back and look at your path from CheckDecide, it's a lot more work than you maybe imagine. You say it's rewarding, of course. The product's here. It's starting to go. You've got some great partners, great people that have invested as well in the industry. So you have a strong team and sort of looking at it. But what would be your biggest learning experience from doing the small business that is or is creating your own business? I'll say, what have you learned, like development wise? Some money that maybe you spent that didn't need to be. What were some lessons and learnings from starting your own business?
Yeah, like when I started, I started by writing specifications, and looking back at my first specifications I wrote were like kind of sloppy. At the time, I thought that they are super exhaustive, and I paid attention to all the details, but it turned out that it was nowhere near what is necessary to make it clear for the developers what is required. So I would definitely spend more time on actually preparing the project, preparing the specifications, and thinking through the major user stories. But the other thing I would do differently is probably to go with a smaller team, because we started with a quite big team of like 5-6 developers, and this is quite specific for developing this like a software tool. But if you double this the size of the team, then the efficiency goes down inevitably, because those guys are working on different parts of the project, and when they have to merge their codes, there will be a lot of conflicts. Even if they are the best in the world, there will be a lot of conflicts, because they affect the same part of the code, the same elements of the code. So we probably started out with a too big team, and we should have started out with a small team, going a little bit more slow, but spending the dollars more efficiently. But I'm not like mad of myself. Like one thing poker taught me is to accept my mistakes. And obviously, the biggest mistake would have been not to start CheckDecide. I started it because I felt confident that this would grow big, and it's quite natural to make some kind of mistakes. We didn't make any major huge mistake we should really regret, but it's quite natural to learn new stuff and get better in what you are doing. So yeah.
Very cool. Give me 10 seconds. I want to load up some questions here. I don't know if can you see these on the screen or no? This is on Twitter.
It's a little bit too small, I guess.
I'm gonna read them out. I'm gonna read.
I can read some of them.
Okay, give me 10 seconds here. Hold on. 1 second.
Huh? Yeah, Valdemar, what is the most complicated thing in being a professional poker player? Well, I have a number one challenge. The number one challenge of being a professional poker player, at least if you are a really competitive person, is that unlike you have a job, if you have a job, you are end with your daily work, and you can go home and relax, watch some TV, do whatever you want. But if you are a poker player, if you are competing daily against the same guys, you have to know that those guys, many of them, especially the best of them, will not really relax. They will work on their game. They will like analyze your stats, and this is a pressure on you, to do the same and to try to get better. And there is no real limit on how much time you can spend on improving yourself in poker. And this was a real challenge for me, especially having a family. having my wife, having the kids, to say that, okay, no matter what, even if I'm in the middle of the biggest downswing ever, I will dedicate X hours to my family. I will dedicate X hours to my wife. And this is probably still a challenge, like having CheckDecide on board.
Yeah.
That like how to do this. And probably the best advice I can give in this is to, even if it's a relatively small time, you should 100% dedicate that to whoever you want to, like to your wife, to your kids. So, for example, in my case, I decided to take Saturdays and dedicate that whole day to my family. No matter what happens in CheckDecide, no matter what happens with coaching, on Saturdays I'm off.
Yeah.
90% of the time I can do it. But even if you just dedicate like 1 hour a day to your loved ones, but you don't touch your phone, you are 100% in focus on them, then that's probably a good step forward.
Yeah, there's the social dilemma. I don't know if you saw that. Did you catch that documentary or the?
No, I haven't had time yet.
It's pretty good. I mean, it's interesting, but it sort of shows like how we really are like cyborgs now. You know, like we really do. The phone, they have these alerts, these trigger things, and it's crazy now. It's hard. It's especially with like CheckDecide. You're doing coaching. You know, the more projects, the more things you touched on. It's fun, but it's a blessing and a curse because like literally I could pick up when this podcast is over. It could take me 30 minutes to just like, and there's so many messengers. There's Discord, Skype, Telegram, MyGram, YourGram, Instagram, WhatsApp, regular text, email, secondary emails, work, you know, so it's like you can just get, and then it's like a rabbit hole because you'll like message someone and then there's like a conversations going on all these things. So it's not just like,
yeah,
right, like you did it, like, no, it's like you actually have to actively go into a bunch of different things. So, you know, it is what it is. But I think someone like yourself, you're creative, you want to achieve goals, you build business and do stuff. It does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of time. And balance is very key. It's not super simple. And it likely, if you're dominating in one area, you're likely slacking in the other. And if you're not conscious of the balance, it's easy for it to fall out, you know, especially like during you know, with poker, it's a blessing as well, but it's also can be tricky because it's you're free, your own schedule, but it can be long days or long periods of time where people are playing, you're inside, you can be in bad habits, maybe don't eat well if you're not exercising, and it is a bit tricky. And you saying you haven't played poker at all? Like you didn't play any of the series, you're not playing any stuff, or you will play?
No. I moved to Spain when I started CheckDecide.
Yeah.
So my options are limited anyways, because I could play on the Spanish PokerStars, maybe some Spanish party side, but there is barely any action on these, and I could play Winamax, and that's not really attractive anyways. And if I started playing series here, like having limited time to dedicate to poker, having close to zero time to actually improve my game, that would not be a wise option for me. I mean, it's still better to just share my existing knowledge with some players who actually need it and who find it valuable. That's probably a much better option in my situation. Who knows?
Let's dial in, man. I'm sick. Let's get serious because I'm on board. I'm all in on CheckDecide. I'm an investor. I believe in it. I like it, and I also think that, you know, again, I wish I know I'm a good poker player, but I also know that I have a lot of areas I have leaks. I know that I'm not, you know, I'm playing some pretty big buy-ins, and the guys that I'm playing are world class. So, you know, I think I have a feeling with some of my tendencies and just how people perceive my game, you know, there's some stuff I could really get away with in spots, you know, because people they're gonna like assume how I play. Maybe I'm labeled in that, you know, whatever as so, and you know, they're like, oh, he's never gonna do this on this board, like he just won't. And like I could probably do it for a while. Maybe they'll select cards or not, or hear about it, or because I stream. But a lot of those guys are playing a ton of tournaments. They don't really care. They're not watching me play anyway, you know, most likely because they're busy and firing 20 screens across 4 different platforms. But yeah, I think it could be interesting. We could make a goal maybe for 2021, and really focus in and put some serious work into some spots and document it and make some videos. I think that would be a lot of fun to do. So
yeah, I'm totally in for that. Like,
yeah, I win my bracelet and WPT. I've gotten seconds and thirds. I might need a little heads up work as well. But we could, I'll make sure to shout out CheckDecide on the speech. We're gonna go for it. But it's true. It's about time. It's like streaming on Twitch, doing YouTube content, doing podcasts, family. I have a 1.5-year-old. It's like, studying is definitely not in my first call to order, and a blessing or not. It's like, I'd rather stream for 3 hours than study for 3 hours. And yeah, I probably should do more studying. And I do feel like I do watch things. I do look at hands. I do study, review. I do pick up stuff and make changes and adjustments. But it could always be more. Unfortunately, there's only so much time.
Like in your case, CheckDecide, like one of the main advantages of CheckDecide is that it's very, very time efficient. So all you have to do is to like upload the tournament you want me to review, share it with me. I'm going to review it, and we can maybe talk about the few hands where we disagreed, the few hands where where I made comments, and that would take much less time from you than doing any other kind of like learning. And I'm not saying that I'm like the perfect guy for you to coach or anything, but I can probably add some thoughts to your hands, and then we can discuss it together whether those comments are valid, or you had some reads on your opponent why you did that, etc. So
timeouts. Some of the hands you'll see, there may have been a timeout. That's possible. So don't. I get to always have that caveat. If there's one too crazy, I may have just missed a fold or timed out. But no, for sure, I would love to do it. I think it's very valuable. And again, I think CheckDecide, it's a perfect fit. It makes sense. I can upload them. It's easy too. You can go through them. We can talk about it. We can do videos. We can multi-purpose the content and do some very valuable stuff. I think it would be really cool. Not to mention, off the top of my head, something with just because of Team Party Poker, because of that they're involved with CheckDecide, Matt Staples and Pav. It'd be fun to have like a group with us and do some hands. Like that would be a really fun group. Maybe even add 1 or 2 more guys in there and make it like a streamer sort of chat group. Jamie Staples and whoever, and just make like a fun thing that we could do. Sort of reviews from some tournaments that we play. I think that would be enjoyable.
Yeah, like we can even create a community, either a free community or a community with some access fee, and then all of us can put some work in an efficient format. Yeah, probably.
Okay, awesome. All right, let's do it, man. Let's just do it. You got to get on me because I'm want to do it. You just got to, you put the framework. I'll get the hands uploaded and we'll get to it because I've been streaming more and I'm definitely feeling motivated and very passionate about the game and ready to push. So, it's contrarian. The poker world's sort of asleep right now. They just blew out their workload on the WSOP, the WPT on Party and all this stuff, Stadium Series, and now it's kind of like a little bit of a time down. But I'm ready to put the foot on the gas. So let's get it going. But all right, let's speed through some of these because we have a lot of questions for you, and I do want to get through some of these. We've already covered a ton, very, very insightful stuff and feedback, and also gotten to review a few hands, which is always fun. So let's go here. What about the first one here? What does the bracelet mean to you, and what are the advantages of carrying something so valuable in the World Series of Poker? So what has that meant to you to win a bracelet?
Well, yeah, like other than like obviously it was a great experience, especially like the ceremony itself, receiving my bracelet, listening to the national anthem of Hungary in front of like 3,000 players in the Brasilia or where it was. Yeah, it was a great experience. But the bracelet itself, like you always have to keep in mind that just because you won a tournament, you didn't become a better player. So it simply means that you probably won some flips, were on the right side of the coolers, and probably didn't play terribly. But and maybe you got a little bit more experience by winning the tournament. But you don't get much better by winning a tournament. You get better by doing the daily work, like what Patrick mentioned in many interviews, that Patrick Leonard, that he runs 10 HRC scripts after every session. That's the daily work. That's what makes him.
Who does that?
Patrick Leonard. He says that his daily habit is to run 10 HRC simulations, because he believes, and he rightfully so, he believes that HRC, like ICM simulations, are the most efficient way of working for a tournament player, because those are the situations where you actually make or lose money, and that's why you should focus on those and be really spot on with all the final table situations, all the final two table situations, when to re-steal aggressively, when to be very nitty in certain situations. These are the core of entities, the core of tournaments. And yeah, so I believe in that one. And the bracelet itself, it doesn't mean too much to me. It is useful in a way that it helps convincing my family, helps convincing like outsiders that I'm serious with what I'm doing. So I'm not just a poker player, which they probably know a lot of, but a poker player who they believe is great because he won a bracelet. But I personally know that I'm not a better poker player just because I won a bracelet.
Yeah. For sure, that makes sense. And what did they think about you getting into early on? Your family, with you saying I'm going to be a professional poker player. How was that?
Well, I always was kind of independent. I didn't really follow rules, but I was in the University of Economics in Budapest. And then I dropped out of school because I fall asleep all the time because I grinded every night.
Yeah.
And they were not happy at all. But after I had my success, they kind of started being proud of me. I'm not sure how they are now about this, but probably not too happy about me being the poker player still.
Very, very reasonable and normal. I mean, but they must, the business, it's sort of a sweat though too, right? Because now it's like sort of the same thing. It's the process again. It's like, all right, business, it's tough to take on a big project. There's some unknowns, but it's also exciting. It's like, all right, well, they're like nervous. Is it going to work? How's it gone? It's taking a lot of time. And so you get to kind of give them another sweat on the business aspect of it. Well, which we know it's going to be successful. It looks good, at least so far. So that's exciting. Favorite poker streamer?
Who else could I say, Jeff? Like,
well,
really?
Me excluded, obviously, because I can't. I know. Give me something you like.
Then I go with Bev for sure. Like, he's a super cool dude, and also helps us a lot. He has a lot of tournaments shared on CheckDecide. Some really big scores, like the 50K score of him in the Bounty Builder 500. And some Sunday Million run, etc. But even other than that, he's just a cool guy, really helpful. I love him.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's great that he's part of Team Party, and I'm glad that we could get it connected and all get together on this to work on it. It's definitely good to have him and Matt as well in there. We've gone through some of these. It's interesting. Do you like virtual reality? Have you ever played any of the virtual reality stuff? Use the Oculuses or anything?
No, not really.
What's the born date of CheckDecide officially? When did it like put up and get on to a workable state? Or actually, and when would you say? What time frame specifically did you said you co-founded, that you made it, you incorporated it, you're like, we're doing it, we're raising the money. When did that happen exactly?
Well, the idea was born in January 2018. I quit my career in August 2018, and then the first beta was born at the end of the year 2018. But that beta was kind quite disappointing. Like obviously the minimum viable product was not really minimum viable. Not really viable, but and the official public launch with the free version was April 2020, and now we are with the first payable service, which is a $9 per month premium subscription to use some of the advanced features like uploading a full tournament, not just a single hand. That's part of the premium subscription, and also like commenting below the hands, that's restricted for premium users only, and setting your content private, like restricting it for your friends only. That's once again a feature which we only allow for premium users. But I believe that $9 is like one of your best spend money, probably, especially that we also create some reviews like the one we mentioned when I reviewed the hand history of Burst 320. That's also restricted for premium users. And do you know Belabaxi?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he's kind of a legend. He's probably second in the all-time online money list. He's been grinding for ages, and he shared a $11 bounty builder hand history victory, and I reviewed that one. So that's also up there, accessible for premium users. So
does he do coaching, or what's his involvement with CheckDecide as well? Or
he's a co-founder as well. Yeah, and he has a stable as well. Hedgehog staking group, but yeah, he's a co-founder.
All right, let's throw him in there with Pav, Matt, me, and you. That sounds like a good team. So
all right,
let's get him in there. Let's start a Discord chat. Okay, that's beautiful. I've never been to Hungary. That's actually one of the probably few cities on my top of my list. I'd say Tokyo, Budapest, just one of those major cities. That Hungary, I've heard good things, great things, and I've never been. Tell me a little bit about Budapest in Hungary.
Yeah, but Budapest is a fantastic city. I mean, really, like I've traveled around the world thanks to poker. Like I've been to the Philippines, to Australia, to Melbourne is fantastic. Like Melbourne is one of my favorite cities for sure. Yeah, but if you like Melbourne, you're probably going to like Budapest as well. It has a very spectacular view with the Danube in the middle, and a lot of beautiful bridges, and it used to have good nightlife as well if you are into that. But obviously COVID ruined that for a while. And I'm a big fan of Budapest itself, but due to the political situation, we decided to rather move to Spain and live there in Valencia, which is also an amazing city. You should definitely visit Valencia because. They always say that Valencia is the most livable city of Spain and probably in whole Europe. Amazing.
That's so. Yeah, I'd say, out of all the cities that you have been and played, what's you as which poker stop did you enjoy the most that you just liked to while you were on the tour, kind of playing and traveling? Which one did you love to go to?
I would love to return to Melbourne for sure. Yeah. Aussie people were really friendly. The food was great. It was fucking far away. Like traveling to Australia, it took ages for sure. But once you are there, you definitely enjoy it because it's a great city.
For sure. Some cool pizza or cheeseburger is an important one.
Well, I'm trying to be vegan, so but at this stage, I probably go with the cheeseburger still. But yeah, I try to eat as little meat as possible.
Nice. What's the best poker site, and why is someone? I guess English translation. Why is Party Poker? So I guess what from what you're hearing, give me a breakdown from your students, from what you hear from Belabasi, from guys that are grinding. Can you give me a breakdown of like the top poker sites in your opinion? What sites have the best value? What sites are and obviously Party Poker sponsor, I got a lot of love for Party. I want to genuinely know your opinion of the landscape right now in terms of the major sites. I think it's pretty obvious. Party Poker, GG, PokerStars, people play ACR as well. They actually throw some $1 million guarantees, and that site, with US sort of okay players to be able to play, and there's been some gray area stuff about whatever. There's been this and that, but those are sort of the main ones. I guess 888. Who else could you throw in there? That's about, those are the major ones. Give me kind of your overall impression, what it means when you hear those names. If you could just quickly give like value, site, like just give me like your opinion.
If I want to be honest, like there will be some shots fired.
Really. That's okay. I want to know. I want to genuinely get feedback, good and bad, of every one of them. This is not a. I'm not trying. Don't hold back. Say anything you want about any of them.
Like I have mixed feelings about PokerStars because obviously they started out great. They built basically the whole industry. They saved my money, which was stuck on Full Tilt, so I have to be grateful for them. But I also have to mention that in the last 2 years of my active career, I didn't win on PokerStars. And in the same time, I crushed in Party Poker, I crushed everywhere else. But in the last 2.5 years of my career, I was breaking even on PokerStars. That maybe that can easily be of variance and caused by the fact that the fields are much bigger on PokerStars, so variance can be much more significant. Yeah. But yeah, I have a feeling that maybe they are trying to change the structure of the tournaments, like the blind levels and the payout structure, in a way to limit the skill level involved in the game. But still, they are at least kind of fair. The only time when I think they stepped over the red line was when they didn't fulfill their promise to the Supernova Elite players. Like they only rewarded them for the current year and not for the next year. That was kind of disgusting, and I really cannot accept that. But yeah, these are my feelings about PokerStars. On the other hand, they are still like a completely safe environment to play. So they have a lot of value as well. They engage a lot of new players, which is important for the whole industry. So yeah, these are my feelings about PokerStars. About Party, it will sound strange because I'm in your podcast, and but I still only have good feelings. Like obviously, this is a little bit. This is heavily impressed by the fact that I crashed on Party. Absolutely. So I only have good feelings. The tournaments seem to be constructed in a way that to enhance the skill element of the game, and I definitely believe that you can win on Party as a regular. I haven't heard about too many scandals or anything related to the integrity of the game. They are doing a great job on the security level. Your money is safe there. So like my personal choice would be to play on Party Poker and Winamax. Winamax is my other secret favorite because the field is amazing there. I really love playing there. The software is good, a little bit different than the other sites, but I love Winamax as well. So should I play poker again, MTTs professionally, I would almost exclusively grind on party poker and Winamax. With GG, I don't have too much experience. I only just hear about the scandals they have. And then also I see some hand histories uploaded to CheckDecide where the final table average is like 10 big blinds or 15 big blinds, which is clearly designed to reduce the skill element of the game. So I would probably not play on GG. This is my personal opinion. And then also the fact that they confiscate like full bankrolls without proper like notifications prior to the action. That's like worrisome for sure.
Actually, this is speaking of that. On this, there's actually a question from Marco Ghost of M here asking, what do you think about the recent focus on RTA? How do we communicate to operators the difference between legitimate poker study software and tools that go too far? I also just want to make a side caveat because there was like, you meant these names they banned, or there was like 82 names, I think it was, on GG that they either confiscated money and banned, they warned, or they banned but didn't take the money. I guess there was 3 levels. I actually saw my name was tossed around in a forum. I don't know if you happen to see that, but it was someone who used the name Gross Jeff and my name on there, which they made me change basically at the start of the World Series. They said, hey, can you just be Jeff Gross with Jeff's face Gross? Like they did for them, a lot of players, I think that. So anyway, my name's Jeff Gross. I was streaming yesterday and I had a few tables up as well, but my account was not touched or banned or harmed or whatever. And someone, I guess, named Apeshka, but not Apeshka de Silva, was using that name Gross Jeff. And that was one of the names that was affected. Either, I don't know if it was banned or confiscated or warned, but not me. I play too tight for RTA, which are, I'm sure you're, we'll go over and see and CheckDecide anyway. But so whatever, to just sort of touch on this point, what do you, what's your thoughts on this? Because is this a threat to poker? Do what do you think? How can we sort of get a guideline and a clear thing on this now? Because that whole Fedor Cruz scandal is pretty crazy. Valero, a well-known streamer, he hasn't been on in a month. I think he was let go from DTO, or there was he was like buying action. It's unclear if he knew or not. Whatever, like all this stuff, it's not good. It's not a good look for poker. This is something we're dealing with, and it's something that in the coming years, this is what sort of we're up against, right? If online poker is going to succeed, how do you combat this? How big a problem is it? Does it really, what's your stance on all the RTA stuff?
This is an interesting issue. Like on the one hand, we should definitely fight against this because this can actually kill the game or take away a lot of money from the industry to a few guys who build the best bots. That's definitely an issue we should fight against. On the other hand, we should, as a whole industry, we should probably be aware that if we let this be the main topic in the poker world, that can probably have a much bigger negative impact on the industry than the RTAs as well themselves. So kind of we should self-censor ourselves by still being aware of the problem, like not to over communicate this issue. Like if you are a Fortune 500 company and you have an issue, like some kind of problem with your product or anything, you don't start going into a lot of poker shows and talk about the problem. You maybe talk about the solution, or you focus on the solution internally to actually solve the issue. But in communication, you are very aware not to overflow the media with this issue. So newcomers will have the impression that poker is all about RTA, because this is not the case. We have a few guys who should be policed, and I believe GG, Party Poker, PokerStars, they have the tools, they have the capacity to police them, to catch them actually, because but we should probably not keep this as the main topic of poker.
For sure. Yeah, I agree with you completely. Some cool questions here. What about the name CheckDecide? Because it's so funny. I actually found myself in some clips where I would say, all right, I'm going to check decide. And I didn't even think about it. Like, and I even like old clips before we ever spoke. So it's such a like natural thing, right? You're going to check so many times. It's like that. You're like, all right, I'm going to check and then decide, depending on his bet size or whatever. How did you actually come up with that name, or who came up with it?
Yeah, that's a former student of mine who invented this name, and I don't know how he came up with it, but it just sounds perfect for the product, because it's really about checking each other's decisions and making decisions. So it's not like passively watching a 1 hour video and falling asleep in the middle, but like actively making decisions. So that's why it was a perfect fit.
For sure. What is the craziest thing that's happened to you in your poker life? Like, what's the craziest situation? Was it maybe something where you almost didn't play a tournament and then you did and you won it, or you late regged and won, or your friend, you got a piece and won? Like anything that just like crazy fortunate happened in your poker life, or even otherwise at a home game, or something crazy scary or timing wise? Anything that stands out for you as a crazy moment in poker career?
Well, yeah, maybe once I made a call in PLO with Queen High, and I won, which is actually it was an accidental call, because I thought I had a pair of nines, and there were too many draws busted, so I decided to make a hero call combined with the live read, because it was in a live game, and I made the call, and he marked his cards, and I wanted to show him that I only had a pair of nines, but it turned out that I had Queen High. So luckily he already marked his cards, so it still worked. But probably this was one of the craziest hands I played. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, there you go. And what about we've had some questions, we didn't even really cover it, about COVID. I just want to know, how did it impact you? If anything, did it change much for you? Because sort of the stage of the business and where you are, you're at home, you're working, you're grinding. It's like almost like, do you even notice it, or how has it impacted you? And how is the area you're at? Like, how is the COVID situation where you are?
Well, it didn't change my life too much. I actually haven't left my room in the last 3 years or 2 years. So I'm pretty much self-quarantined for 2-3 years. Right. Jokes aside, unfortunately, like as you probably know, Spain is heavily affected by the coronavirus. So it's extremely sad to see a lot of people around us having their businesses shut down. Most of the businesses are built on tourists who just didn't come this year. So I'm afraid the impact of this will be huge on Spain, and I just hope that they will somehow find a solution, or this can be solved quickly. I think I think the biggest thing that I see that I wanted to address with you is about variance, and what you've maybe noticed as well with some of the things you see. People kind of want to know about variance. How do you address that? Like, what's your simple and take on variance? Like, how do you explain like luck and randomness, or see guys like Fedor, Dan Coleman, Justin Bonham will go on these type of runs, right? Like, they're obviously world-class players, but they're running at an outlier of big flips or coolers, and they're winning. How do you sort of explain and I guess variance / results oriented? Because that's a huge one. Like my wife, she doesn't care if I lost kings to ace 2
offsuit and a guy spazzed out for 100 big blinds. Like, it's like, how did you do? How did it go? How was your day? Like, how do you kind of let people know about results-oriented variance? How would you talk about that?
That's a really good question. First of all, there are quite a few ways to manage variance. Like, maybe not for you as a streamer, because as a streamer you are incentivized to play high stakes tournaments where variance is just huge anyways. But you have to be aware of the 2-3 most important factors of variance. The first one is your skill level, so your edge on the field, your expected ROI on the field. That's probably the single biggest factor of variance. The bigger your edge, the lower the variance will be. The sooner you get the expected EV of the expected value of your work. The second one is the size of the field. So if you have a chance to play in rooms where the average field size of the field is smaller with the same buy-in, then you should definitely go for that. And another one is the buy-in range you play in. You should try to make it as narrow as possible, because if you play the same amount of tournaments with the same average buy-in, but with a wide buy-in range, like playing $11 tournaments and $1,000 tournaments, then your variance will be huge, because your daily profit will be heavily affected by that one tournament you play, and you don't want to do that, obviously. And what else? Yeah, these are probably these three most important factors. And on the other hand, in the game you can find some spots where you should not only take the direct EV of your play into consideration, but also the opportunity cost of your play. So let's say you find yourself in a tough spot, facing a huge river bet, putting you all in a tournament. Then you should always evaluate the situation itself, like how much profit can I make with this call, but also the opportunity cost of this call, that if I call and lose, I'm out of the tournament. If I fold and stay in this field, will I have a better chance to collect the same amount of chips? And in low stakes and mid stakes tournaments, the answer is often yes. There will be a lot of other spots where you can easily collect one big blind plus or two big blind plus in the next 50 hands probably. And this is also true if you are often true if you are against a top player who normally you would not like to play exploitative game against the top professional, because he is balanced, so you have to be balanced as well. But if he is the only good player in the field and the rest of the field is still weak, then you should toss up on some slightly profitable spots against the top guy to be able to stay alive and exploit the other guys better. So this is an important concept, and this is often overlooked, and even some guys even make fun of this concept because it is like associated with like Phil Hellmuth approaching the game and sometimes making some ridiculous folds, overestimating his edge on the field. But Phil has some right, obviously, with this concept. In a tournament where the majority of the field is weak, you should definitely embrace this concept and apply. But if you play in a super high roller where you will not have better chances, you have to go for very thin edges and you have to be able to gamble, because if you always pass on these situations, then you will be just blinded down.
I couldn't agree more. And what do you think about the Hellmuth white magic thing? You've been in poker, you've known Hellmuth for a long time. big controversy came out. You saw Phil, well, controversial as in, I guess, or not controversial, but objective, sort of a toss-up. People, a lot of the GTO guys like Fedor, who's one that was sort of like again, or Rainer, maybe some of these German guys that they give Hellmuth a hard time and say he doesn't play very well or not GTO. And then you got Phil Galfond came out and said something positive for Phil, which he really latched onto and it sparked a lot of discussion, I should say, not controversy, about his game. And it's hard to argue with success and results. And he has 15 World Series of bracelets. Phil's a good friend of mine. He's invested in a lot of companies we have together, and I respect him a lot. And his game is, it's hard to argue with results. But where do you stand on the Hellmuth argument in your honest opinion? Do you believe he's a world-class, great player, one of the best of all time? Do you believe that he's great at exploiting and beating these fields and just using things against him? Or where do you stand on the Phil Hellmuth greatness scale?
Well, first of all, I have to say that my opinion is definitely heavily biased because I only see a few clips, like coverages where he played. Like usually those hands are highlighted for a reason, because he probably played super exploitatively, or even he made a questionable play or straight out bad play. Let's be honest. There are some hands which cannot really be explained or could only be profitable in very, very specific situations. So if you ask me, like, who would come up winning after they play like 50,000 hands, like Fedor versus Hellmuth, then it would be no question that Fedor would crush Hellmuth. I don't think anyone can debate that. But
yeah.
But if we talk about like $1,000 WSOP event, who would have the highest ROI, Fedor or Hellmuth? Then taking Hellmuth's reputation into account, that everyone wants to like outplay him, everyone wants to get involved into hands with him, etc. With all these extras, I think the edge, the expected ROI of Phil Hellmuth would be higher than the edge of Fedor holds in the same big-ish tournament.
I mean, I agree, but I think you could argue that people would want the Fedor to put him in that category of wanting to beat or play him. But I guess it's possible that when Phil Hellmuth sits down in that field, every single player knows him, whereas Fedor, he actually could be at some tables and people may not know him, which is kind of But I don't know.
But I think Phil is kind of excellent in turning this into his favor and exploiting the weak players. He's probably very, very good, and he's ready to go very, very far with exploitative game much further than most of the like high stakes crushers, who only make small adjustment, being afraid that if they make a too big adjustment, then their opponent can counter that. Right.
Very, very true. Very true. Okay. Well, interesting. I mean, no question, Phil's he knows what he's doing. He's a lot of poker experience, and he's one of the elite for sure. Just if you throw him in a high roller 320,000 buy-in with 25 of the world's best, where does he stack up? That's a little different. And again, poker, that's why poker's so great. Like, you can be the best in your home game. Doesn't mean you have to be a great poker player. You could be the best in a certain field, or you could be a winning player in a $55 1,000 person, know how to win. Like, you can be good at specific things. You don't have to be the best player in the world to win at poker, which is kind of part of it.
Yeah, but another thing is that if like the period he is in poker, like the length of, like the time frame he's a winning player, he's been in poker for like how many years? Like 20, 25.
Ooh, Phil Hellmuth?
Yeah, 30.
He won his bracelet in '89, so that's 30 years when he won his bracelet. He was 30 plus, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a huge thing in itself, that someone is in a very, very competitive, rapidly changing industry, and he's still like debatedly one of the best players. Like, maybe he's not amongst the top 30 players in the high roller circuit, but he's definitely one of the most profitable players after 30 years of playing, which is amazing. Yeah,
for sure. Negreanu or Polk?
I grew up on the blog of Negreanu. It affected my development as a player a lot, and I used to admire him a lot. But when the Supernova Elite thing happened in Stars, and he kind of justified the decision of Stars, he lost my integrity for me. So I since that I cannot respect him as a person. I think as a player he's okay. He improves a lot. He's not that far behind the top guys. But as a person, I think that's not justifiable.
So Daniel's a good friend of mine. I like and respect Daniel, and I think he really does speak his mind. I agree that, I mean, the reality is when PokerStars made that decision about Supernova Elite for shareholders, for business, for whatever, I mean, that was like sort of the line, and that was where stuff really started to go south. I feel like, at least for the overall appreciation, value, and that was sort of when you look at the Scheinbergs, they sold. I don't know if it must have been just before that then. I mean, that everyone says they love Ishai. He was a greatest boss. The stories of what he did for the employees, even though he didn't have to, and all these other things you hear about, and just, the history. I feel like it sort of is like before and after. It's like, you could call it like the point. So in terms of, I don't actually know specifically. I can't put a finger or a clip or a statement that Negreanu made. Of course, Doug roasts him for the more rake is better, kind of that whole thing about the pros and that, like that, he gets crushed on that statement, which is, kind of a bit complicated as well, and gets taken out of context a bit, I think. But in terms of what he said about the Supernova Elite, because I've heard him multiple times, and maybe this is after he's not there or at GG specifically now, he really talks about that, how like he doesn't agree with it. That was like sort of a really terrible thing. So I don't know if in the moment while he was endorsed, if he just sort of turned the other way or justified it, but I've heard him publicly say that he does not agree and that was terrible. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe it was different then, or he didn't say anything. I'm not sure, but I just know that I've heard him basically say that was very wrong and multiple times at least. So maybe he changed his tune. But he definitely.
I can't recall the exact statement he made at that time.
Right.
But I definitely cannot recall that he stood up for the players and said that, hey, I'm okay with raising the rate because that's obviously rightful for the company. If they feel that they have to raise rate, then that's their decision. But if you don't fulfill your promise to the Supernova Elite players, it's like, let's say I make a side bet with you that you can do like 50 push-ups, and when you are at the 49th push-up, I knock your shoulder and I say that, hey, I only want to pay the half of the amount we made side bet for, and that's basically what happened there with the Supernova Elite players. That they in November they said that they are not going to pay them the rewards for 2 years, but only for 1 year. And in that situation, I think Negreanu could have stayed loyal to the company by saying that I support the raising the rake, but making a public statement that or like doing anything he can to reverse that decision. So yeah, that's my impression. Right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should have paid more attention to all the details, but this is what came through to me. So.
Well, again, I actually do not know specifically. So I just know that I have heard him personally talk about it with me, and then also with publicly, even on a podcast. I think recently I watched a couple clips. I was looking at just scrolling through timestamps and saw that came up, and he would say something like that. So I think generally Daniel stands up for what he believes in and is a good ambassador for the game and whatnot. But no, okay. All that aside, Polk and Negreanu, they're battling, their heads up, there's words getting tossed around.
Yeah.
Who wins this? And I guess two things. Who wins and who wins with the odds? Because I think it's some ridiculous odds, like 5-1 or 6-1 is Polk favorite. It seems crazy to me. Like it can't be that, you know. But so both things. Who do you think wins overall, and who do you think with the odds?
Well, to be honest, I was too busy with CheckDecide to pay close attention to all the side betting, and like obviously the dog is a favorite for this one to win, but I cannot really judge.
Yeah, same thing. I don't really know how to calibrate it. I'm not sure who's experienced and what, and you know, Doug's rusty or whatever, but you know, there's some talk about charts here as well. What's allowed, what's not. It's a bit confusing, and I, you know, I don't know the exact format and all the nuances, but yeah, I'd say Doug, he's a heads up specialist. That's his bread and butter, and he's been working and practicing again. And I mean, I don't know. I think it's gonna be hard to overcome the odds, but Daniel's no dummy. I'm sure he's studying and getting.
I think about whatever the like publicly accepted odds. Negreanu is probably better than that odds, probably than those odds.
Also, I think there's value in this for Daniel at least too, because this is something Doug's kind of bullied him for a few years and whatever, and he's kind of coming up and he's sort of taking the approach that I'm a big underdog. I don't care. Like, this isn't my best format. This isn't whatever. But also, I think, you know, Daniel will do studying. Daniel will work on his game. Daniel will, like, net value wise, even if he loses, like, you know, there's a threshold where if he got like ridiculously barbecued, it would be bad, but he can stop after so many hands. But he's definitely going to work on his heads up game, and it may actually pay dividends down the line. You know, he's like immersed in heads up. He plays a lot of live big tournaments and stuff. Like, you know, this could actually become like a big winner for him over the next decade or something of taking this into consideration, you know. So I don't think it's a big negative for him no matter what.
He cannot lose any, really.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, right? Because like all of us have access to either coaches or people or resources, but like for us, you know, like I should probably, you know, we could all do more work on heads up too. If you really spent like a day or 2 hours a day for a month and got great at heads up, like it would be valuable, and also for just post flop decisions and heads up pots and heads up in tournaments where so much of the money is. Like, how many guys have done a lot of work on heads up poker? And the answer is like almost nobody does it, you know?
Yeah.
And I even hear top pros, like the best guys that are like, man, you know, like heads up, yeah, we just don't play a lot of it. And it's like, well, especially like in the highest, the big buy-ins where there's smaller fields and you get heads up and it's so important to win those. You would think that at some point, like a lot of guys now have, but I think that's like a big part of the poker community just doesn't spend a lot of time on heads up. And if you're playing the $55 thousands of persons of fields, you know, it may not make sense, right? Because it's like you're just so rarely going to get there. But it's an interesting thought. Okay, we'll take a couple more. What about sports? Favorite sport, and do you play sports?
Well, I used to do Kung Fu, the fighting one, and I absolutely love football. I like the soccer, as you know it. And then you used to be a soccer player, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then, I love football a lot, like the European football.
Someone asked me, I'm embarrassed I don't know this name because supposedly, I think I've actually heard of him, but how good is this guy? They're saying that he's like the next LeBron or of soccer. Erling Haaland from
Dortmund.
Is he that? He's from
Norway. He's from Norway. He's like ridiculously young, like 18 years old, something. He's a center forward, I think, and he keeps scoring goals like in a ridiculous pace. He's probably very good. Yeah. I don't get to see too many matches due to my job with CheckDecide, but I've heard about him.
Yeah, I'm seeing here because I've gotten really into sports cards. I don't know if you're familiar with this hobby.
Yeah, I've heard about that it's growing big.
Yeah, like this is a card here. Actually, I can't show it. Shit, even if I scroll, it's funny because it's like set to a window. I was trying to show it, but like, yeah, I see his card super expensive in a PSA 10, like 10 grand for this one, which is like super high for a soccer card, especially for like a rookie. You know, not like a Pele or Maradona, but anyway, yeah, just curious if you'd heard of him. Favorite potato chips over there. What do you guys? What's your go-to snack? Do you eat potato chips?
Yeah, I try not to.
Okay, let's just leave it that. Yeah, we don't want to endorse bad habits here. So a couple. I can't read this. It's in a different language, maybe Russian.
Yeah, I can't either.
Okay. Let's do a couple more here. Give me advice. What would be some different languages? I love to see the international action. I just don't know if I can oblige with the translation. Maybe you could speak some. How many languages do you speak?
I speak obviously Hungarian, English, and Italian as well. And my wife is half Serbian, so I would like to learn Serbian as well. And obviously we live in Spain, so once I will be able to leave my room, I will definitely learn Spanish as well. And as we live in the Valencian region, it has a special language, very similar to Catalan. So we will have to learn that one as well. So if everything goes smooth, then in a few years I will speak 6 languages or so. But at this moment I only speak 3.
3. That's not bad. 3 is pretty nice. That's a good amount. That's what would have been my guess. I thought you might have sneaked in 4 there when you started saying another one there. But all right.
My kids already speak 5. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So mine's trilingual. Even though he doesn't speak yet, he's like he has like he's kind of even on knowing words for 3. It's the way to do it. Have the kids learn early,
yeah, sure.
Especially if the parents speak multiple languages. Each talk in their native is great. Well, we do have a $55 ticket giveaway. If anyone's still there that hasn't retweeted, you can get in, put a question in. Whether we get to or not, you will be eligible. We're gonna copy this. I'm gonna take a couple more with you, and then we're going to load up and roll this for someone. But is there anything? One of the questions here is best advice. So maybe just kind of leave one of the last ones. Well, actually, let's start this one, and then we'll ask your best advice. But what would you be doing if you weren't playing for a living? I guess, well, not even playing, doing. Let's say CheckDecide. What if you weren't doing poker-related things? What would you be doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like originally, I wanted to become a history teacher. Because I was obsessed with history, but the present myself could not really imagine that happening. So if I like my main interest is how our brain works, like psychology, some philosophy, and therefore I'm tempted to become some kind of mental coach or personal trainer, like personal mental trainer or something like that, or even like psychologist. Yeah, that's a job I could live with. But obviously, it looks like I'm going to be an entrepreneur. So
very cool. And let's end with kind of best advice. What would you give to someone, whether it's poker life, like motivational speaking on this as what you might be doing if you weren't in poker? What would be something you would say to someone who's sort of in a funk or just not sure what they want to do, or maybe they're like, I kind of want to try poker for a living, but I don't know, and it's hard. Like, give me your best sort of advice to whatever that means to you. Your best advice. One of the questions here in the chat. I like that.
Yeah, I have quite a clear view on this because I had the chance to be in close connection with the big guys in bid staking, European pads, Almerics, and I got the chance to see their habits and how they structure their life. They are busy as well. Like Tommy Almeric has kids. Still, he's one of the best players in the world, and he takes his share of running bid staking. So it was really fascinating to see how he focuses his resources on what really matters. And the same goes for Patrick as well. That first of all, what I saw that they are very conscious on their networking. So they try to maximize the synergy of the group they are in. So if you are a newcomer to poker, it is absolutely crucial to get some poker friends. They can be on the same level of you as you are, or ideally they are on somewhat higher level, or they can even be on lower level than you. They can catch up on your skill level very easily. But the main thing is their mindset, that you should definitely avoid those guys who just keep complaining, who try to build up their confidence by kicking into someone else, like calling other players names, etc. Avoid those guys. Look for those who really want to improve, who respect the other player, even if the other player is worse than them. This is what I always see with with European and Pats and Elmerichs, that they never called someone a fish. They kind of forbid it in the boot camp when we talk to talk about someone like fish. No, you had to be specific. Like, this is a recreational player whose main league is not 3-betting enough pre-flop, or this is a regular whose main league is I don't know, not check raising enough, or barreling too much, or anything. And if you take this approach and you personalize your opponents, like this is a great guy, but this is his league, then it's all of a sudden it causes no frustration to lose a pot against that guy. So it's not like, oh, I lost a monster pot to a fish or a fish regular. No, you should be very specific that this was his league. I tried to exploit it. I succeeded or I didn't succeed. That's it. You should not put any emotions into these evaluations. And this is what you should look for, like these kind of guys who stay calm, who focus on the real deal, focus on improving themselves. So networking is definitely the #1 skill you should embrace. And the second one is focusing your efforts to the situations which really matter. So I am guilty of spending hundreds of hours running 100 BB PIO simulations and trying to figure out river plays, etc. That's not a way to spend your time. You should first focus on opening ranges, 3-betting ranges, see how to see bet with different stack sizes, basic bounty strategy, or anything like that. Yeah.
Let me ask you. Well, actually, that's another random thought about the CheckDecide. What about bounties? Because that's such a popular form of poker now. Is that one of the ones that, can you review those?
Yeah. Actually, this was the single one thing which which fucked my mind. That if you go to the CD original account and you open, like you are already there. If you open, click on the CD original account.
Hold on one sec. Let me, we're in the wrong. Hold on. Let me get the CD original. Okay.
So we can definitely display bounties. If you click on the Luigi, which one is that? Maybe it's a free sample. Luigi Pika, free sample, like lower, down a little bit. No, that's Vinamax. You should look for the second from the bottom.
PKO.
Yeah. Click on that one, and you can see that if the hand history contains the bounty, we can display that. So you can see that there are the bounties. So you can even test your bounty skills there. In some rooms. So if you can talk to the developers of Party Poker, it would be really, really good to have the bounty info included in their hand history, because then we could display those bounty hand histories with bounties displayed. But at this moment, it's only the hand history of PokerStars which contains the bounty info. So
okay. And then my second part, I guess the question would be, let's take how would you say to, like, what's harder, to go from a very beginner to get to intermediate? I always think of it like golf. I don't know, like golf, it's easy to go from 120 down to 100, but it's hard to get from like an 80 to a 78, to shave those strokes and at the level. Like, is that fair to say? And what would someone that you think is like a very good player, how hard is it? Like, let's take a Pads, Ellermix, these guys like Bella Basie that are because I would imagine someone that has like that core understanding, understands principles, sizing, stack depths, and board, all these things, right? Let's just take myself, for example, like someone who has maybe it's something where I'm not jamming enough, or I'm not open shoving with, near the bubble with these hands in a spot where it's a mandatory and whatever. So like these little things that you could adjust, and like you said, plug a leak. So how hard is it to go from like a winning or a break even good regular to like to an Alex Foxen or Steven Chidwick, or bring these guys? Like, how difficult and how much work is it doing the PL solvers, running the sims, memorizing board textures? Is it plugging little leaks? Like, how difficult is it to sort of jump if you, and is it just depending on how big a leak, or because it's almost an advantage if you're making like a massive few leaks, that could be pretty easy to fix in theory. Like if you're just like, wow, like what are you doing in this spot? And you've been doing it for 3 years and you're just punting money and people laugh when they're watching or playing against you. And it's like, you're never shoving when you're supposed to in this spot, like that. And like, you know what I'm saying? So like, give me a little bit of an equation on how that is to, how to work, and maybe something you found in some players that you find and helps their win rate. That's like been shocking. Is it that they're not jamming enough with 20 blinds, or not opening off of, so instead of shoving on 16 blinds, they should be min raising, and like, what are some like big leaks, and just sort of tackle that area.
Mm-hmm. Well,
we've been going a long time. We're covering a lot of good stuff. Let's close with this before we do the giveaway.
Okay. So your first question was like how a player who is already on a decent level improve further. And to this, obviously, this is a tough question, and it is tougher than getting there from a very basic level. But your best choice is probably to look for someone. Once again, it's networking. So look for someone who is at least as good as you, but has a very different playing style. Because luckily, poker is not that close to GTO that like playing styles cannot exist. They definitely exist. You can name 2 big winning regulars, and they have completely different strategy or style. And style basically means a leak or an exploitative approach which they take. So I would definitely advise this. So if you are a GTO type player, go look for someone and make a group with someone who's exploitative. Or if you are someone who rather likes calling in position, peeling flops, peeling turn, then have a few sessions, have a few discussions with someone who is more like the 3-betting pre-flop, check raising a lot on the flop, etc. I'm not saying that the other player is necessarily better than you, but by having some new impacts, you can definitely improve your game much faster than by doing the job yourself. And regarding your other question, like the major leaks, I should divide this to like different levels, like low stakes, mid stakes, and high stakes. Like low stakes, the biggest leak is probably like playing too loose early stage. This is very frequent, and not playing aggressively enough in the later stages, and taking too much risk in the early stages in general. Not understanding how weak your opponents are going to be in short-handed games, in bubble games, etc. So that's one thing. And also another thing is in multi-way flops, people tend to bet too big, either for value or for their bluffs. This is a very frequent mistake, and then they should simply use smaller sizes, because you want to make a lot more protection bets, etc. So that's one technical thing which they definitely struggle with. Mid stakes, I think the main skill in mid stakes is to have some theoretical knowledge of situations where you can make extra bluffs, because most of the guys are not skilled enough to find bluffs in certain situations. But in mid stakes, the fields are still too big to build up many individual reads on your opponents. So everyone will still go with the population reads. So if you can go against the population in some certain situations, like for example, let's take a flop like Jack 8-6 or Jack 6-4 or something like that, or 9-5 deuce, where population basically only bets the C bets big if they have the goods. They are not aware, or they don't practice big C betting with bluff hands. Although you could bet a lot of big, you could use a lot of big bluffs on 9-5 deuce and Jack 6-4 and flops like that, because you have a huge nut advantage, and the advantage shifts on a lot of turns. So this is a spot where you can start using big bluffs, and your opponents will way overfold because they the only thing they can relate to is the tendency of the population. They don't have individual reads on you, so they will overfold. They will fold bottom pairs, which should be 100% call. Second pair, sometimes they fold, which should be obviously a call. And then if you can find spots like this where you can be aggressive without making something very, very silly, then in mid stakes you can run over some opponents. And yeah, high stakes obviously it's a tricky question because I'm very far from like crushing high stakes. So I think mainly you should build up individual reads, and you should understand game theory actually on high stakes, like how what is the balanced play, like make some questionable plays on the flop or uncomfortable plays on the flop to have some bluff candidates on the turn and on the river. This is something I see from some of the cash game guys I'm in contact with, like very, very weird turn barrels, mainly reason because they want to have some bluff candidates on specific rivers, and understanding these kind of connections between the ranges on different streets. That's probably a skill I personally should work on as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good breakdown of all of it, the above. Well, I do appreciate this. This was a lot of fun. We did go over a ton of different things, CheckDecide, and personally getting a good idea about you and your career. We appreciate that. We are going to do a giveaway courtesy of Party Poker 55 Gladiator ticket. So I am going to copy this. Anything else you want to touch on before we give the giveaway?
I think we spoke enough, but maybe I can return somewhere later and we can continue this because it was fun for sure.
Awesome. Okay, well let's go ahead and do this. So you tell me when I'm going to roll it, and someone's get this $55 Gladiator ticket. You just say the word.
Mm-hmm.
Now has been called. There's a lot of retweets, a lot of questions. It's taken a while to load up, but someone's going to get it. You never know. 55. We had someone on my stream who was part of it. Mary, she turned a 55 into a $10,000 big game cash last Sunday. She was going to be there with us. Mary Pundermuff from Great Bluff is her name. And there's a winner right there, up to the universe. Well, the universe has spoken, and you've got oh man, I think this is my friend who posted. That's pretty crazy. And he won again. Well, it's a buddy. I met him at the thing. I'm almost sure that's the guy who just posted a picture from the Bahamas with me. I'm almost positive. Let's just go take a look here. I think it is him. I'm almost sure. Yeah, I think he posted. Looks like he's got the. He posts a lot. My man's doing a lot of posts, but congrats on the win. I think he did something nice. I think I retweeted one of his things, but it's nice, man. You never know. $55. I think. How much did you go with online? How much did you go with to start your bankroll? Were you one of those guys that free rolled like ran up from peanuts or a small deposit? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It started with a free roll. Yeah.
He posted a picture. This guy just won the 55 ticket, and he said, but there I met my biggest three idols. That we most memorable encounter was poker pro players. I was met Phil Ivey, Tom Dwan, and the biggest Jeff Gross Poker. So I don't know. Those are big names to put. But you just got a $55 ticket.
Congrats! Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So I thought I recognized the name there, and he did just win the ticket. So best of luck to our supporter and friend of the stream there. That name is difficult. That looks like a European name, Matesh Petik. I don't think I'm saying it right, but either way, congrats to him. Thank you to Luigi, and yeah, man, let's get this group going. Get in. I think we'll allow Bella Bassi. I mean, I think we could fit him in if he's available. That would be cool. But whatever. Either way, I'd love to work on some stuff, do some videos, and keep plugging forward and improving as always. So that would be great.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, and thank you for the invitation. It was fun.
Yes, Luigi. That's we had a 2-hour, 50-minute podcast. We covered a lot. This will be out on iTunes, Spotify, all the different places. We have the nice recorded live video here on YouTube. And again, thank you so much. And there will be some streams this Sunday. You got to come and check out the Twitch stream sometime when we're live, and we'll get CheckDecide. We'll do some giveaways and some other stuff for that on stream, and appreciate it very much. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great evening. Yeah.
Yes, you as well. It's late there, so enjoy your night. This was number 96 podcast. We had Luigi. I'll say Kwaysser. I'm sure I'm not Kwaysser. Was that right?
Kwaysser.
Kwaysser. Valdemar, Luigi Kwaysser, from the co-founder and CEO of CheckDecide. And again, I did invest in the company. I believe in it. Pav and Matt Staples, amongst others, are involved. I hope you guys enjoy it. You can always hit !CheckDecide in my. You can hit it on my Twitch stream, or you can go to my website, and I think it's up there. I'm almost sure it's under investments and affiliation, and it is in the mix somewhere, I believe. Boom, there it is. You can go click there, get involved, check it out. We appreciate it. Thank you again. Cheers. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you for a stream Sunday, and that is going to wrap up podcast number 96.
Thank you. Bye-bye.